What's going on, guys? This is United WWE coming at you another video. Today I'm going to be reviewing last night's Monday Night Raw. It was live from the Key Arena in Seattle, Washington, and what a 24 hours it's been in WWE, guys. Some crazy news coming out yesterday morning. I think it shocked us all, really. We all knew this day may come, but it was just confirmed to us yesterday. Daniel Bryan going on Twitter to announce that he is retiring from professional wrestling. This just sends shockwaves through the professional wrestling world. WWE superstars, anyone that's ever worked with Daniel Bryan, his friends, family, fans all around the world, WWE universe, just tweeting out all day, sending him messages, letting them know just how much we appreciate him, all the respect we have for him, and thank you. Daniel Bryan was trending worldwide all day. I was actually in a meeting for most of the day yesterday in work, so I didn't actually hear the news when it was first announced. So I came home later on the evening and heard the news, and I was actually a part of me was shocked, but the other part wasn't really surprised. Of course, he's been out for so long. The rumours have always been going around, the speculation, and we know that he actually confirmed it himself last night that doctors did give him the all clear to return to the ring, but the WWE doctors just never gave him that clearance. And that's the doctor that Vince McMahon will be listening to the most. He's not going to listen to some other doctor from some NFL club or NFL team. He's going to listen to the WWE doctor. He's the guy that gives a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and looks on this case, Daniel Bryan went for more further testing last week. I'm not too sure if it was the WWE doctor that did these testings or whoever did them, but it looks like his brain, the tests he had done before had said that his brain was actually functioning at a higher average than most males his age, so that's actually a really good sign. But he went and got the same test done again. It looks like that's not the case at the moment. Things have changed now. It looks like his brain has been affected by these concussions, the neck injuries, everything. It's all just added up after 16 years of him putting his body on the line in rings all over the world. You name it, he's done it, and I think it's just taken a toll. And it's very sad to say he's only 34. Just people like Edge come to mind. So many people that have had to retire early from professional wrestling, but as Daniel Bryan kept saying in his promo and his speech last night, this is all he can have is just gratitude towards what he's achieved in his career. And that's how I first felt when I heard the news. As I said, half of me was shocked, but I think as I saying, most people are just expecting it. But what a career he's had, guys. I know he's been only in the WWE for probably 4 years, but the amount that he has covered in that time, even before he came to the WWE, he's wrestled in Japan, Ring of Honor, all over the world. He's wrestled with the best. He's made, more importantly, he's made himself a superstar, but he's also made other people superstars just by working with them. We saw the respect from his fellow wrestlers, his peers, everyone yesterday just sending him thank you messages. It was actually reported on a lot of the websites that a notification had been put up backstage at Monday Night Raw, encouraging the talent to actually tweet their memories of Daniel Bryan, thank you messages to Daniel Bryan with the hashtag thank you Daniel Bryan. It looks like all of them did that. It was great to see, the WWE universe sending him all these nice messages, and it could have only made what could have been a very hard day that bit more easier for Daniel Bryan. So yeah, guys, it was very an emotional speech. He was actually on for a good half an hour. Raw was stayed on the air for like an extra 15 or 20 minutes, which I was very surprised with. I don't know if the WWE will get in trouble with the USA Network for that or what the story is. The speech Daniel Bryan actually gave was actually very impressive. I thought sometimes when people are retiring, they're talking about something very emotional. It's very hard to get the words out without getting choked up, and Daniel Bryan actually did really, really well. Fair play to him. He came out, he talked about how this is something he's loved to do for so many years. It's his only love. It's so hard in life to find something you love, but to get the chance to do it as your job and to meet so many awesome people. He talked about how Kane is one of the most smartest people he's ever met. That was a huge shout out to Kane. He also talked about Lord Regal, I was going to say William Regal, and how he's helped him in his career. He went on to mention so many people, and it was just good to see him pay his respects. He could just tell he was getting, as it went on, he was really enjoying the moment. He closed his eyes, and when he talked about the yes chant, the fans were on their feet going crazy, given the yes chant. He just stood there, closed his eyes, and he said it afterwards, he's just feeling the energy from the crowd. And I tell you, that was just an unbelievable moment, because as he said, sometimes when you're in the ring, you have to have your wits about you, eyes open, ready to go. It could be waiting for that bell to ring for the match to start, or you could be getting ready to cut a promo. And in that moment, he knew it was his moment. All eyes were on him. He could just stand there and just soak in the applause. And thank you, Daniel Bryan. It was just an unbelievable moment. I stayed up here until 4:30 in the morning here in Ireland to watch it, because I just knew it was one of them moments. You just have to watch live, you just have to experience it. These are just moments that who knows? Will we see Daniel Bryan in WWE ring again? Will he come back, have some sort of role? We'll never get to see him compete again, just like Edge, just like so many others, which is so sad to see. But it was a real raw moment. One of the biggest moments in WWE history for sure, because he is one of the biggest names in WWE history. And not many guys can say they main evented WrestleMania. Not many guys can say they won a triple threat match at WrestleMania against two of the biggest names in WWE history. And he's done it all really. He got there on his own. He got over on his own. He wasn't shoved down our throats. The whole yes movement, it was just a great time. Great TV as well, just to see someone that all the odds were against him. He rised up against the authority, and I'm just glad that he got his chance before these injuries arrived, and he was forced into retiring, because it happens to so many. We say, oh, that guy has so much potential. I even saw Corey Graves on the pre-show on the WWE Network, and someone like him that was never really given the chance even to get onto the main roster. All these concussions just added up before his career even started on the WWE. So it's very sad to see someone like Corey Graves, but it makes it a bit easier for me as a fan watching to see Daniel Bryan walk away. It's always sad to see us lose a guy, but when he's actually got to the top, he's reaped the awards. The fans love him. It's a good way to walk out. It's better than him coming out and announcing that he's going to be crippled for the rest of his life. He found out about the news late. He's been wrestling with an injury. At least they knew about this injury early. He can walk away now. He looked very, very healthy on Raw. With these brain injuries, you can never tell, but he looked really good. And it's just one of them things that, just for his own sake, the WWE have taken the precaution to not to let him wrestle again. And I think that's the safest thing to do. And thank you to Daniel Bryan and the WWE for making the right decision. Us fans, we always want to see the best superstars in that ring, but if it's at a price, it's not worth it. It's not worth our entertainment just to see someone put their body on the line and possibly risk their lives, because this man wants to go on to have a family. We talked about Brie, how they want to spend the rest of their lives together, have kids, have family. The fans went absolutely nuts for that. Even after the show was over, they continued on the WWE Network, and all the roster came out on the stage. Daniel Bryan went around all the fans, gave high fives, people were hugging him. It was just a very emotional time. Vince McMahon was on the stage as well, along with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, along with the whole roster, as I mentioned. And it was a good moment just to see him going around, get the respect and love off the fans. And then he just walked straight by the main roster, and he went into the back, because he's not one to hang around. He didn't want all the attention to be on him. He's just the type of guy he is. And he went straight into the back. He gave Vince McMahon a hug just before he went into the back, and then that was it. His family were at ringside, and Brie was hanging around with them, and it was just a very emotional time. But it's a great send off for the guy. Hopefully we get to see him on WWE TV in some sort of role maybe in the future. Hopefully this isn't the end for Daniel Bryan, the WWE. But guys, his in-ring career is over. But I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you very much to Daniel Bryan. I'm sure a lot of my viewers and subscribers will say the same thing. Thank you very much for this, Daniel Bryan. You've gave us a hell of a time, WWE. Last night was very emotional. You did a great job, and we're just happy that you can go on to live your life. Hopefully, have family, have your kids, and just enjoy life. Forget about the wrestling for now. It's not worth it. Your health is more important, and thank you for all the great memories. Of course, the Daniel Bryan speech actually ended Raw last night, so I'm going to skip back to the start of the show, and the show actually got off to a really good start. Stephanie McMahon came down to the ring. She announced there's going to be a contract signing. Dean Ambrose's music hit. He headed to the ring with a purpose. You know, he was pissed off after last week getting an F5 in the middle of the ring from Brock Lesnar. Soon after, Roman Reigns came down to the ring. Stephanie mentioned how Roman Reigns was always getting in Dean Ambrose's spotlight, and this is something that, I was talking about last week on my review show of Raw. It kind of looks like they're teasing one of these guys getting pissed off with the other, maybe a heel turn. And I don't know about you guys, but I just thought last night, I'm not saying that he's going to turn heel or anything, but Roman Reigns was just acting really weird last night. He wasn't. I don't know. I'm not sure if he was just really poorly booked, but he just always seemed to be there. He was just kind of hanging around. He wasn't really doing anything. It was more between Lesnar and Ambrose more than it was about Reigns. He was just kind of like caught in the middle. Even I'll get into the later part of the show further on in this video, so I'll just cover the first part of the show now. So soon after, Ambrose took the mic off Stephanie. He talked about how he wanted Brock Lesnar. He wanted to fight him there and now, and Stephanie introduced Brock Lesnar. He came down to the ring. It was a really exciting moment. You could just tell Michael Cole was even talking about. You could tell it was nearly WrestleMania season, and this was just going to be one of them moments where you just wanted to see absolute carnage in the middle of the ring, and that's what we got. Soon after, all the three guys signed the contract. All hell broke loose. Dean Ambrose skipped around the front of the table. He went over to Brock Lesnar. They went face to face. The fans were going nuts. They really wanted to see these two go at it. Before we knew it, Brock Lesnar just picks up a table. He fucks it at Roman Reigns. That was fucking hysterical. I don't know about you guys, but I was just in bits laughing. I even just said on Twitter, why put someone through a table when you can just pick up the table and fuck it at someone? It was just hilarious. Roman Reigns fell out of the ring then, and before we knew it, Ambrose was being treated like a rag doll. Lesnar got him up for the F5. Boom, he hit it, and he got out of there. Lesnar went up the stage, and before Lesnar could get to the back, Triple H's music hits. He's at the top of the stage. He has his World Heavyweight Championship. He's with Stephanie, and he's just eyeing all three men. And it was a send out from Triple H, really just saying, I'm the man. Whoever wins this triple threat, I'm the man that you'll be facing at WrestleMania. And I thought that was a pretty cool moment. But yeah, guys, really great opening to the show. It was great to see as well. I talked about a couple of weeks ago how we need to see more of that lunatic fringe side of Dean Ambrose. Give us a reason to show that he is a lunatic, and going up to the face of a beast like that. There's stuff like that he needs, and it's great for Dean Ambrose. He's really improving over the last couple of weeks, and long may it continue. Our first match of the night was Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens. Now, this match was something we've seen on Raw for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and you always know these two guys are going to tear the house down. It was a good, decent match last night. Of course, last night, or the week before, I should say, Dolph Ziggler beat Kevin Owens, but last night it looked like, could we get a Kevin Owens win? Kevin Owens was in complete control for the whole match. He was doing some really great heel work, some really good tactics throughout the match, just talking trash. The commentators even picked up on it, which is good to see. They're actually paying attention to what was happening in the ring, because sometimes they just completely ignore what's happening in the ring, and they're talking about the network or something else that's coming on later in the show, or the hashtags. But they actually paid attention in this match to what was happening in the ring, and the good work done by Kevin Owens, so that was good to see. But yeah, guys, Dolph Ziggler went on to win this match. It was a decent match. It wasn't great. It wasn't as good as their last couple of weeks, the matches they've had. But yeah, he actually won by putting his feet up on the rope right in front of the referee. I thought the referee's positioning for this was absolutely terrible. He could have gotten in better position to make it not so obvious for him to see what was happening, because there's no way that when the position that he was in, he couldn't have been able to see Ziggler's feet. I know that was the finish to the match, but the referee's positioning could have been a lot better. Some of you might think I'm being a bit critical, but it's stuff like that that makes the finish look good or look crappy, and I think the finish it looked a bit crappy because the positioning of the referee wasn't that good. But yeah, it was interesting to see that Ziggler, of course, who was a babyface, kind of went with the cheating tactics of using his feet on the rope, and that just sent JBL on commentary absolutely hysterical. He couldn't believe Ziggler had cheated to win. He talked about how Michael Cole and Byron Saxton were just Ziggler fanboys, and I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, decent match, and Kevin Owens went berserk after that one as well. He wasn't happy with how that match finished. Moving on in the show, guys, next up We had a backstage segment which saw the Dudley Boyz go into the Usos locker room. Now the Usos had been confirmed for a tables match against the New Day. It was a 2-on-2 match, I think it was, but it looked like, you know, the Dudley Boyz weren't happy with this. They wanted changes made to that match. They talked about how the tables match was theirs. They wanted to be a part of it. They said the WWE universe did not like the New Day, which I thought was a bit weird, and considering they probably get one of the biggest pops every night. I know they're heel guys, but they're, you know, the fans love them, and it's not really it's one of them things where I don't think the WWE should turn these guys babyface. Just leave them as heels the New Day, because the fans will want to love them so much, but they'll keep, like, the New Day will just keep telling them to back off a bit, you know. And I think that's the way they should leave it at the moment, because it's working well, and yeah, there's no need to make changes. Anyway, getting back to that backstage segment, the Dudley Boyz talked about how they wanted to be a part of that match. The Usos said they can try and make it happen. Later on the night, it was confirmed the Dudley Boyz would be teaming up with the Usos to take on 3 members of the New Day, Kofi, Big E, and Xavier Woods. And of course, there was that one spot left, so we would actually have to wait until later on in the show to find out who that 4th member would be with the New Day. But after this segment was over, guys, check out my Twitter, because at the time I even said it. This segment, for me anyway, I don't know about you guys, but I had a potential Dudley Boyz heel turn written all over it. I tweeted it out. I said it. I can smell a heel turn for the Dudley Boyz tonight, and you know, we'll talk about that later on in the show in this video. But it might have just happened, guys. It might have just happened. But moving on to the next. It's just interesting at the moment how they're kind of distancing Charlotte from Sasha and Becky. You know, they're kind of having, Sasha and Becky are kind of having their own feud with Team Bad. It's all mixed up at the moment, and, you know, Charlotte's kind of being kept away from that feud at the moment, which is interesting. So will we see maybe Sasha take on Becky for a number 1 contendership match at Fastlane? Whoever wins that goes on to face Charlotte at WrestleMania. Who knows? I would personally like to see a triple threat match at WrestleMania between Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. I think that would just be outstanding. Getting back to the match itself, Alicia Fox, you know, she did okay in this match. She counted on a few roll-ups off Charlotte. Charlotte hit her with a spear, and Charlotte got the figure 4 locked in then and went on to win. After the match, we got loads and loads of replays for some reason about Flair and Charlotte strutting, which I thought was a bit weird. But yeah, we moved on then. We had The Miz backstage. She was preparing for The Miz TV, and tonight it was actually announced that Chris Jericho was going to be on Miz TV, which I thought was good after we saw AJ Styles be on it last week. So I was actually really looking forward to see how they will build up this feud between AJ and Chris Jericho. And The Miz has been just outstanding over the last couple of weeks, really helping these two guys get their feud together. Anyway, Chris Jericho came out on Miz TV, and he actually did really, really well with The Miz. This was probably one of the best segments on the show last night. At the moment, guys, I actually have more interest in the AJ Styles and Chris Jericho feud going into Fastlane than I do the triple threat match for number 1 contendership at WrestleMania, you know, for the heavyweight championship. AJ Styles and Chris Jericho are just killing it at the moment, and The Miz is actually doing a really good job in this feud as well. Chris Jericho and The Miz tease each other back and forth, and on the Miz TV, that was actually really good. You know, both of the guys made some really good points, and The Miz's heel work was just actually, it's getting really good at this stage. He was just being annoying. He was being contradictive. And as much as I hate The Miz, I have to admit it, over the last couple of weeks he's actually done really, really well in this feud. But before we knew it, AJ Styles hit the ring. All hell break loose. AJ and Chris Jericho go face to face. You know, the fans got really into this moment. You know, they're talking trash back and forth to each other, and before we knew it, you know, punches were flying. Chris Jericho got thrown out of the ring. He then went over to The Miz and he just threw him over the announcements table before getting back into the ring. You know, AJ and him had a bit of a scrap, and before we knew it was over. And it was just, there's a lot of tension between these two, because you can just tell these two want to tear the house down together, and I just can't wait to see them on SmackDown on Thursday night. You know, I think that match is going to be absolutely brilliant between AJ Styles and Chris Jericho, probably even better than the match we saw on Raw a couple of weeks ago. And you know, I'm really liking the spot AJ Styles is in at the moment, because he's working with a top guy in Chris Jericho, and you know, hopefully he can keep working with him up to WrestleMania, and then after WrestleMania he can be elevated into even a bigger spot. So yeah, that's my hope for AJ Styles at the moment, and I hope Chris Jericho and The Miz can really keep working as hard as they are at the moment to help AJ get over even more with the WWE Universe. Next up on Monday Night Raw, guys, we had Bray Wyatt taking on Ryback. Now, this match was actually, I found it to be very interesting because I wanted to see, who are they going to go with? There's been a lot of speculation that Bray Wyatt's going to have a big match at WrestleMania, potentially taking on the Beast incarnate Brock Lesnar. And there's also been speculation that Goldberg could be returning to face Ryback at WrestleMania. So, this was a big match for both guys because, any losses and lost momentum going into WrestleMania can always be a big effect on that superstar, and this was an important match for both guys. And we've seen Ryback's new look. It's I think I don't think a lot of people are saying that he looked like Goldberg. I don't think he did. I think the look actually really suits him. The singlet that he's been wearing for the last, I don't know, probably 4 years, I think he needed to move on from that because he wasn't really going anywhere. And I think the look he has now, he looks like a genuine main eventer. I don't think he has the skills and ability to be in a main eventer, but he looks like one. And anything's possible if you fake it until you make it, as the saying is. And he actually looks really, really good. He has the physique, and I think the gear that he was wearing last night, is something he actually could definitely continue with. There's a few Goldberg chants, but I think they'll go away because I don't think he really does look like Goldberg. It's kind of a different look. He has the weightlifting belt and stuff like that. But this match, it was okay. I was actually very surprised with Ryback's cardio in this match. If you notice, he has a bit of a new moveset now. He actually has a lot more aerial moves. He actually did CM Punk's running knee to Bray Wyatt in the corner. He did that on SmackDown as well last week, which I thought was very interesting. So it looks like I was about to say Ryberg for some reason. Ryback, he's been working hard in the gym anyway on his cardio, and he's not blowing up as much as he used to. He was sprinting around the ring a lot last week, and that was good to see. And he actually sprinted into his sister Abigail. He was going for I think a shoulder tackle or maybe even a spear or something like that on Bray Wyatt, and Wyatt just caught him. He gave him the sister Abigail, and that was the end of that one. All the Wyatts then came into the ring: Strowman, Harper, Rowan. They absolutely destroyed Ryback, and they added another casualty to that list. Of course, last week they took out the Big Show, so it'll be interesting to see what will happen for the Wyatts at Fastlane. Maybe we could see some sort of 3-on-3 match, maybe Strowman, Harper and Rowan versus Big Show, Ryback, and maybe someone they take out next week. That's my prediction. It'll be interesting to see what role Bray Wyatt has. Will he get involved in a triple threat match? Maybe take out Brock Lesnar. That's all. We all have to wait and see what happens next. But guys, moving on to the next part of the show. The cameras went backstage and we got Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. Now, Ambrose was really pissed off. He was livid at what had happened in the opening of the show. He talked about he didn't care if he got hit by an F5, an FW, an F10, an F50, an F20. He wanted his hands on Brock Lesnar. And this was, as I was mentioning earlier, Reigns just looked a bit clumsy, because he's supposed to be the number one guy in the company at the moment. And it was good to see them kind of put the spotlight more on Dean Ambrose last night. It looks like they're trying to make it look like Ambrose can have a chance in this triple threat match at Fastlane. They're kind of taking the attention off Roman Reigns for now, which I find it's a tough one because this has got the guy they potentially want to put the belt back on at WrestleMania, and it's just weird at the moment. There's something I don't know if you guys can agree with me on this one, but I'll talk about it further on later on in the video, but it was just weird seeing Reigns last night. He was just acting a bit clumsy. I just couldn't put my finger on what exactly it was. But once again, the booking for this guy is it's pretty shit at the moment, guys. A lot of people were actually saying on Twitter last night they didn't know if Roman Reigns was a heel or a baby face. I can guarantee you 100% Roman Reigns is a baby face, but the problem is the booking for him. They want to make him look like a badass, but they don't know how to do it, so they're giving people mixed signals. Even at the Royal Rumble they had him walk out on his own terms after being put through a table by the League of Nations. Would you ever see a top baby face like John Cena, like I don't know, someone back in the day, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock? Would you ever see them get put through a table and then walk away from a fight? Who does that? It's something a coward does. He was put through a table and then he walked away in his own terms. He wasn't stretchered away. Mankind in the Hell in a Cell match against The Undertaker comes to mind. You did not see After Mankind was thrown off the roof of the cell, they put him on a stretcher, and when he was halfway up the ramp, he got off the stretcher and he got back in that ring. Roman Reigns walked away on his own terms for the Royal Rumble, and that just gave a lot of people mixed signals. They're thinking, was he just going to cheat? Was he going to go backstage and waste a bit of time and then come back out? And that's exactly what he did. And it looked like the coward's thing to do, and it was just poor booking on the WWE's behalf. And stuff like this, like for Reigns, is not doing him any favors. And I personally thought he just looked really clumsy on Monday Night Raw last night. Anyway, Ambrose told Reigns that he wanted to do this himself. He wanted to go after Lesnar, and he did not need Reigns' help. He said he's helped him enough recently, and he wants to do this on his own. So later on the night, Dean Ambrose went out to the ring. He called out Brock Lesnar. He called him out for a good 5 minutes. He kept teasing. He called him every name under the sun. Before we knew it, Brock Lesnar's music hit. He came down to the ring, and these two just went at it. Brock Lesnar once again hit him with an F5, and soon after he did, Roman Reigns' music hit. That distracted Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns came down the ramp, and Ambrose actually hit Brock Lesnar with a low blow right in the nutsack, and then he rolled out of the ring. Lesnar was rolling around in pain. Of course he would, after getting absolutely demolished in the balls, so it looks to be so painful. But he walked away up the ramp. Lesnar was rolling around in agony in the ring. Roman Reigns, this is where I'm talking about Reigns just looking clumsy. It was like he's just acting so weird, because Ambrose was rolling up the stage. He was in pain after getting beaten up by Brock Lesnar, and Reigns was just leaning over to him like, Joe, what's up, man? I'm gonna make this stupid smirky face, like a stupid. Oh, he just looks like such a fucktard. I don't even know what that word means, but Roman Reigns, yeah, I'm gonna say it. Roman Reigns looked like a fucktard. I don't even know what the fucking word means, but he just looks so stupid. He's acting so clumsy. Joe, just make him look like a badass. Joe, just do something better with him, please. He has all the potential in the world, and they're just making him look like shit at the moment. It's just really frustrating me, because if they're not gonna book him like they should be, then he's just going to be completely wasted, and all the work they put into him over the last 2 or 3 years is just going to be thrown down the drain. Because I think people after TLC were like, finally they're booking him like a badass. He beat the shit out of Triple H, and now he's just gone back to being just kind of boring again, which is sad to say. They kind of bring us up and down with Roman Reigns. One week you can really get into his character. You say, yeah, he's the guy. He's working his ass off. He's really trying. Then the next week you're like, oh fuck this. They're going back to doing the shitty booking again. But they really just need to get their act together, be more consistent in making him a badass. And please, Roman Reigns, stop the fucking smiling, stop the smirking. I do not want to see it. Anytime he does that, I just think you look like a clumsy fucker, because it looks so forced and just not real. And we just don't want to see it, guys. And moving on to the next part of the show. So over the last couple of weeks, Titus O'Neil's actually been building a lot of momentum. There's a lot of speculation that WWE were really looking at pushing this guy. But just like they did with Kevin Owens, just like they did with Dolph Ziggler recently, just like they've done with so many, Kalisto, Del Rio, just so many names. They gave him a few victories in a row, and then last night he loses to Adam Rose. I'm like, what the fuck? They made him beat guys 10 times better than Adam Rose over the last couple of weeks. Then he just goes out and loses to Adam Rose, and I was like, what's the point in this? Why build him up and then just knock him straight back down again? It's a complete waste, against someone like Adam Rose. Oh, come on, WWE. You can do, actually, there's something about Titus O'Neil. You can just tell that if he was put in a top spot, maybe even pushed up towards a United States title chance or Intercontinental, I think he'd really take the ball and run with it, because I think at the moment he's just stuck in a rut. And over the last couple of weeks I really thought, maybe they'll give this guy a chance. He had a lot of wins under his belt, but he lost to Adam Rose last night, so I think we can just write that off again. And just like so many others on the roster at the moment, he's stuck at square one. Next up on Monday Night Raw, we had a tag team match between the Lucha Dragons and the League of Nations. Now, the two members of the League of Nations were Alberto Del Rio and Rusev. Now, both these guys, actually all members of the League of Nations, have really had bad injuries at one stage or another, and it looks like Del Rio is actually working through the pain barrier at the moment. Rusev had an ankle injury actually a few weeks ago as well, so it looks like that could have improved at this point. Sin Cara is just back from injury. He wrestled last night in the tag match alongside Kalisto. This match was okay, it wasn't great. To be honest, I don't remember too much about it. All I know is that Rusev and Del Rio picked up the win. Kalisto was upside down in the corners. Del Rio nailed him with the stomp off the top rope. He got the cover. They picked up the win. It was an okay match, nothing to write home about. But yeah, moving on to the next. We had some more Divas action as Sasha Banks was on commentary. The match was Becky Lynch versus Tamina. Sasha was actually doing really well on commentary. She's so well spoken, and she was getting her point across, which is always important when you're trying to build a feud. She was talking about Becky, she was talking about Team Bad, she was talking about the previous week. But yeah, Tamina kept yelling out at Sasha during this match, and this really got Sasha all wound up. She got up, she tried to confront Tamina in the ring, but before she knew it, Naomi came out of nowhere and took her out. This got Becky's attention. She tried to get outside the ring. All hell just broke loose, and before we knew it, Becky was getting back into the ring and got absolutely nailed with a super kick by Tamina, and she went on to pick up the win. And yeah, it's interesting to see how they're building this feud between Sasha, Team Bad, and Becky Lynch at the moment. Will this go into Fastlane? Will we get some sort of #1 contendership match at Fastlane to see who will take on Charlotte at WrestleMania? We'll still have to wait and see next week on Monday Night Raw to see what kind of developments we'll have in the Divas division. Now, next up we had a backstage segment where the New Day picked, believe it or not, they picked Mark Henry to be the 4th member of the New Day for the main event, which was going to be Mark Henry and the New Day versus the Usos and the Dudley Boyz. Now, as I mentioned earlier, guys, I put it up on Twitter. I was actually really proud. I got this one right. I'm not going to brag, but yeah, I got this one right, bitches. I said the Dudley Boyz are going to turn heel. My God, they turned motherfucking heel. This was actually a really good match. The Dudley Boyz, they did okay in this match. I thought Bubba Ray got off really slow to the start of this match. He looked confused, really. He was working with Mark Henry in the corner and stuff, and it just looked real sloppy. It was a bit all over the place, but they really got their act together. The Usos were actually very energetic and lively in this match. It looked like, I'm not sure which one it was, Jimmy or Jay might have picked up a bit of a leg injury at the end, but I'm not sure if that was part of that was meant to happen. But there's actually a big fuck up at the end of this match because Jimmy or Jay took out Big E, and they hit him with a super kick, and I think Big E was supposed to just kind of like stay dazed and turn around and walk into a 3D through the table, but Big E actually ended up rolling out of the ring. If you go back and watch it, guys, he rolled out of the ring, and Devon and Bubba Ray kind of just had to shout at him, Big E, get back in, you're part of the finish. You could just hear them shouting, Yo E, and they're trying to get his attention. He eventually kind of rolled back in all dazed. They had the table set up, they hit him with the 3D, and Devon was helping, I think it was Jimmy maybe. They were trying to help him back to his feet. He was really sore. He looked like he banged up his knee after jumping off the top rope. And it really looked like when Bubba was about to turn, it looked like it was just him that was turning. It looked like Devon didn't have a clue what was going on, but they did it really well because Devon acted surprised, and he was kind of like looking at Bubba, what are you doing? Because Bubba nailed one of the Usos in the back. The other Uso was standing up saying, what the hell is going on? And before he knew it, Devon was clattering into the back of him. They just all hell broke loose then. The Dudleys were in control. Jimmy or Jay, I can't remember which one it was. I never can separate the two. If you guys know how to separate the two, let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, one of them was put up on Bubba Ray's shoulders and got power bombed off the top rope through a table, and Bubba Ray got right up in his face, and he was telling we're the Dudley Boyz, we're here to stay. And you just mess with the Dudley Boyz, and that's something you do not do. The table match is theirs, and they shouldn't have left them out of that match. The Dudley Boyz look pissed off, and the Dudley Boyz are always at their best when they're heels and when they're pissed off. So I'm just hoping we see some big match at WrestleMania or Fastlane with the Dudley Boyz in it, because there's no doubt about it, guys, they're going to take the ball and run with it with this heel run at the moment, and it's something they deserve. It's something that's only going to help the likes of the New Day, help the likes of the Usos, the Lucha Dragons, all the tag teams in WWE at the moment. But yeah, guys, that brought WWE Monday Night Raw to an end. Of course, the show ended with Daniel Bryan's speech, but I covered that at the start of this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your views and opinions on Daniel Bryan, of course. Let me know your favourite Daniel Bryan moments in the comment section below. Make sure to go follow me on Twitter, guys. As I said, I'm always tweeting on Monday Night Raw, giving my predictions, views, and what I think is going to happen. And it's always fun to have a tweet up with you guys on Twitter. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, be around for next week's video, and yeah, make sure to leave a like as well and comment down below. I'm always interested to hear back from you guys. And yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you on the next one. Peace.